This is a vital update about coronavirus.
You should now only go out when absolutely necessary for food, medicine, work, or exercise.
Stay home. Stay home. Coronavirus.
Food, medicine, work, and work.
Stay home.
Medicine, work.
Hi, my name's Eve Jeffrey and welcome to Lockdown Poetry. I would say a warm welcome, but I don't like that expression. It sounds like someone's pissed themselves or something. So just welcome to my tiny corner of the world, a little flat somewhere in Glasgow. Yeah, where, incidentally, you have to walk through my bedroom to get to the bathroom. I can tell you, I've had some interesting dinner parties here. But that's a topic for another time. Tonight's topic is health. The big one. Yeah. And I can't help but think that this topic has something relevant to our global situation. Because these are difficult times, my friends. We're having our liberties stripped away. And I'll be returning to that theme of the stripping of liberties in my first poem, which is, I think, possibly the most honest, painful, dare I say, brutal poem I've ever written. It's a kind of dark swirling of undercurrents. But first, I'd like to really chat and just check in with you folks, yeah, and just let you know how things are going in my life right now. From a health perspective, I've got to say things are not good. I'm in strict isolation, yeah, because, as some of you know, I am high risk. High risk. It's nothing to do with the virus, just, no, I'm joking. It is to do with the virus. See, I'm on medication to suppress my immune system, so going outside could be very difficult. Except, paradoxically, I have to go to the hospital every morning, yeah, in order for them to sort of check up on me, examine me, and administer treatments. And I'll be frank with you, I have to get naked for these sessions. At the start, I suppose I was a bit nervous about it, but now, it's absolutely fine. Yeah, it actually makes the walk there quite exhilarating, and it does help with the 2 meters thing. People do tend to stay away, I find. So that's the health. What else? Well, I suppose my flat I could talk about a little bit, and the street life here, much as it is, and much as I can observe from my window. I like to think I'm kind of spearheading the clap for carers thing, you know, where we all lean out of the windows and clap and bang pots and things like that. And I don't know, I like to start 5 minutes early, just to get people, I don't know, warmed up, get into the mood of the whole thing. But, you know, at the same time, I can't help thinking the whole process is slightly problematic. It feels very fragmented, us all just leaning out from our separate flats in the street. So I've sent a petition round to my whole street, suggesting that maybe every Thursday at 8 p.m. we have some kind of, I don't know, street party, get together. We could get a burger van, maybe a couple of jugglers with those skittle things. I'm kind of imagining the music will be something like that song that goes do 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 do. What is that called? I have no idea. It's my favourite song though. I've got it as my ringtone. I should know really. But yeah, so that's flat life. In terms of my personal life, which is always faintly fraught, I must say, well, it may cheer some of you up to know that I'm single. Yep. And I think it would be highly inappropriate for me to use these lockdown broadcasts as somehow setting out my stall romantically. But you know, maybe you're watching this and got a little, I don't know, frisson, little buzzy feeling. That's okay. So no, it would be highly inappropriate for me to say anything more about that. But I would say I don't have the virus, right? I don't have the symptomatic virus. I may have the asymptomatic virus, or I may not have the virus at all. So, okay, my profile is sort of, all right, my chat up line would probably be something like, "Hi, I'm Eve. I don't have the coronavirus, at least the symptomatic version of it. I probably don't have it, but if I do..." So I'm getting a little bit bogged down here. Let's just park that. Okay, let's forget that section there. I think it's probably time we actually kicked off with some poetry. So I'm going to go into the other room and set up because I need specific lighting for it. It is a troubling poem. You may want to pour yourself a little drink, and I will try not to upset you, but I suppose it's like, if we're talking about health, perhaps it's a necessary medicine. Yeah. Okay, so I shall see you in a moment. Thank you. Welcome back. Now, I'm sorry I'm not smiling because this is quite a serious poem, okay? I'm going to be talking about oppression, and particularly in the context of the coronavirus outbreak and how our liberties have been stripped away. Yeah, it is a modern tragedy. And what I've tried to do to create the atmosphere of oppression is set up a lamp on my cupboard just down there, and what it's doing is shining. I got the idea from an Amnesty International advert probably about 20 years ago, but I hope the kind of chiaroscuro of the scene reminds you of a Cold War drama, just oppression in general, right? And steel yourself, because this one is difficult. So I am literally in the spotlight here as an oppressed victim. So let me give you the context. There are some people across the world who are complaining about the lockdown and saying it is a breach of their human rights. And in America, some people are comparing it to slavery, and they're doing that with a straight face. But anyway, I like to represent a broad range of political views in my poetry. So this poem is trying to give a voice to those horribly oppressed people who have to stay at home, and who rightly are so angry and marching around parks and things. So what I've done is I've adapted a Martin Niemöller poem. Martin Niemöller was a German minister who wrote this in 1946, and it's often known as "And Then They Came for Me," but I am going to reimagine it and channel the oppression that the health restrictions have brought to bear on our suffering society. Okay? First, they came for the schools, but I did not speak out, for I was not a school. Then they came for the pubs, but I did not speak out, for I was not a pub. And then they came for me, which was odd, because I'm not a public building, and there was no public building that would speak for me. Sorry, I've done all that, and now I've had a bit of a crisis just now about that. I'm not sure if that poem's really working. I think I need to put a few more hours into it. That's really embarrassing, because this was the first poem of the night, and it's kind of died on its arse. I'm really sorry about that, and because the sentiment was great. I was really trying to channel that feelings of oppression, and I'm really sorry to all those people who are demonstrating out in parks and stuff, because it's horrible when this iron fist, comes down and tries to keep you alive and things. So look, can we just like maybe forget that one? I'm going to move on to my next poem. I'm really quite embarrassed about that, actually, because I did spend a long time with that light, and it's got one dodgy leg. Well, anyway, I won't go into that. Apologies. I'm going to move on to a much better poem, I think, and one that I've honed finally. It is the finished version. And this one's called Doctor, Doctor. And I want to move to a more clinical environment. I suppose the only location that comes to mind is my bathroom. Yeah. And this is about a visit to the GP. So maybe refill your glasses. Open a packet of Skips. I like Skips at the moment. I don't know how we've gone from political oppression to Skips, but there we are. So open a packet of Skips, pour yourself a glass of wine, and I'll see you in the bathroom. We're in the bathroom. I'm all white. I feel like an angel. Normally, when I move to a different room, I like to talk about the memories I've had in the room. You can't really do that for the bathroom, can you? Maybe I've had a sheltered life, but I don't have any particularly strong memories of the bathroom. Apart from the prawn jalfrezi incident, but the less said about that the better. So yeah, pretty much standard usage of the bathroom. Nothing exciting, nothing titillating. I suppose the subtext of what I'm trying to say here is I've never fucked in the shower. So that's all the background I can give to this room, really. But I wanted to set up a clinical looking context, because this story that I'm about to tell you in verse form is about a trip to the GP. Now, just a tiny bit of background here. Some people who know me quite well know that I've got two little letters in front of my name, DR. It's not something that I like to boast about, and I'm not going to go on about being Dr. Jeffrey or Eve Jeffrey, PhD. I don't want to talk about my doctorate in philosophy from the University of Leeds in English literature. No, I just, you can address me as Eve. You don't need to make any mention of the fact that I've got a doctorate in philosophy. And I never really have any fantasies about being some kind of Marvel hero called the Doctor or anything like that. No. Let's just call me Eve. But anyway, sometimes when I go to the GP and it's a new person, they'll ask me, "Are you a medical doctor?" And of course, I always say no, except for one time when I answered slightly differently. So it's a true story, and this poem is about that, and it's called Doctor, Doctor. I had done something to my knee, so I went to my GP to see if he could help me. I was ushered in, and before I could begin, he butted in and asked with a thin, tired grin if my doctorate was in medicine. I paused for a while, then answered with a smile, "As a matter of fact, Doc, it's true. I'm a GP, just like you." He said, "Oh, thank God for that. I'm not. I mean, I'll come clean. I've been winging it for years, strange as it may seem." I said, "Now, Doc, call me a cynic, but I've lost all faith in your clinic. I mean, my knee's throbbing, and you could just tell me any old bobbins." And he started sobbing and cried, "Eve, believe me, I've tried. My head's fried. I can't live this lie." And then, eyes wide, he hissed, "Would you see the last patient on my list? I'll give you 60 quid up front. Then I can piss off home. It's only one. It might be fun. Please, please, I've no expertise. He's probably just got duff knees, like you." Well, geez. I said, "Hand over the cash, I'll give it a bash. But I can't help thinking we've trashed some ethical code and crapped all over the Hippocratic Oath with these dodgy doctorate dealings." So he gave me the dough, and he went to go. And I said, "Oh no, I need your stethoscope and the patient's notes." He handed over the file with an odd smile and turned tail and left. Glancing down with a growing frown, I read the next patient's name. Dr. Phil. So that was Doctor, Doctor. And we're coming on to my final poem of the night, which I shall be doing in the kitchen, only because I've never done it in there before. And I think it might make a refreshing change. And continuing the subject of health, this poem is really at the heart of health, my personal experience in hospital. Because I'm in hospital quite a lot. It's always been that way. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. I think it's because I'm very sensitive, very, very creative. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I give, and I give, and then it just becomes too much and they wheel me into the big white hotel. Yeah. I'm not a bed blocker or a nuisance patient. In fact, I'm a very helpful patient. I can't see the point of just lying around in hospital, and I like to sometimes help the nurses out just a little bit. You've got to chip in. I have asked before if I could maybe hold the scissory things in an operation. I mean, not actually use them, and it could only be a minor operation, like maybe a vasectomy or something. I've yet to be taken up on that offer. But anyway, well, I hope you enjoyed your skips, if you had skips. I've actually had a pack of Roysters today. I realise that some of these snack references may be going over the head of some of my non-UK friends. I might just do an entire session on snacks, because they do interest me. Okay, less talking, more action. Let's go to the kitchen. Hi, welcome to my kitchen. Now, the first thing you might notice is the sort of red thing going on. Yeah, there's two reasons for this. One, red is my favourite colour. I don't want to show off, but I will a little bit. Just allow me, right? I've got a red kettle. Yeah, and best of all, a red toaster. Yeah. Lucky me, eh? But the second reason is that this is an angry poem, and I wanted the red to really be a kind of visual metaphor, and I'll be chopping and changing in a narratively fascinating way in this poem. Angry, twitchy, full of rage. And what is the object of my rage? Well, I'll tell you. I was hospitalised a while ago at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Glasgow. Now, my rage is not at all directed at the staff. Now, they were fabulous, and they really put up with all my little idiosyncrasies, and just all round lovely people. No, there was something there that made me angry. What was it? The lifts. Now, I have been to a few lifts around the world, or in some places they're called elevators. Yeah, and I have never seen the system that the hospital has, right? What happens is the buttons for all the floors are on the outside, okay? So you choose your floor before you get in, and then it selects a lift for you. And once you're in, right, you're buggered if you've chosen the wrong floor. There's only an alarm button and the door close button. Now, I got used to this system during my stay, yeah, but there were many people who really couldn't understand it. Now, I understand it was a difficult system, but really some people weren't trying, right? And I was bloody ill, and you know, I know other people may have been ill too. Well, I'm sure some of them were. It was a hospital. But they just couldn't grasp it. It made me quite angry. And so this is an angry poem about my lift experience. And I do think that aside from the buttons, many of the things that I'm going to get angry about apply to lifts all over the world, right? Okay. I need to psych myself. I need to get a little bit worked up, right? Yeah, it's coming. I can feel it. Yeah. Here comes the blood rush. Yeah. Red mist descending. Let's go. Hospital lifts. The lifts in the hospital are flawed. The buttons are on the outside. Why? I don't know. It's a pain, never explained. But the fact remains, this crappy system could just about work if the public had a collective brain. Heck no. In a wider sense, the level of dense behaviour in the elevator became a major aggravator and made my stay seem far greater than a measly 7 days. Oh, let me count the ways. 1. Pressing the call button many times will not make the lift come quicker. There aren't little men with a pulley wheel who squeal, "Shit, there it goes again. Better haul this thing up to level 10. 2. do not eat in the lift. It was the hottest day in Scotland, and the lift was rammed, and someone thought it a plan to open a pack of tangy cheese Doritos. I could have strangled the man. 3. Do not talk in the lift. Any chat or jokes cracked in a hot steel box are gonna fall flat, but that didn't stop some twat from remarking, hot in here, isn't it? Crowded in here, isn't it? It's a slow lift, isn't it? Look, I'm as sick as a dog. Mate, this is your internal monologue. But the absolute rock bottom was achieved on day 3 when a wee guy piped up, wouldn't it be funny if the lift got stuck? I mean, what the fuck? I don't want to think the worst, but pal, we probably eat you first. 4. Don't break wind in the lift. Just don't break wind in the lift. 5. Know the difference between the door close and alarm buttons. This isn't tough stuff. One has a picture of doors, the other a bell. But sodding hell, though we've suffered enough, people trying to open the doors would treat us to 6 seconds of siren. Once, for so long, the operator came on and asked what was wrong, and I'm moody and sweating and getting close to screaming, "Don't worry, operator, the woman's a cretin." 6. Don't act weird. Get in, get out, don't mess about. There's a general understanding that when you're standing in the lift waiting for your floor, you generally face the doors. But this didn't prevent a pyjama-clad sociopath intent on standing and facing us all while sporting an unnerving smile. Shit, I think we all nearly broke wind. So that's it. Lifts. They're a real downer. Thank you. That was my last poem. But my little slot's not quite over yet. Oh no. I'd like us to repair to the sofa just for a little bit of housekeeping about next week's class. I mean next week's poetry lockdown. Yeah. And I'm going to talk about the topic and just maybe, like Jerry Springer, come up with a final comment, observation. So I'll see you on the sofa. Well, we're coming to the end of my poetry lockdown, and I hope you enjoyed it. I've taken my verbal scalpel to the issue of health, and I've reached inside that issue, rearranged its organs, and hopefully health will now be healthier. Next time I'm going to be tackling an even bigger subject, but I'd like to keep it under wraps. I'll give you a clue. You might want to think of sassy pop duo Salt and Pepper's seminal 1990s hit. Yeah. But that's for another time. I suppose my final comment here would be, it's a tough time for everybody, and we all get a bit lonely and down sometimes. You can always subscribe to my YouTube channel, and it'll cheer you up immediately because you'll realise how good your life is compared to mine. Yeah. Or you might want to, think about a new hobby. Crocheting is good. Not baking banana bread, please. I think we've all had quite enough of that. Or learn a new language. I hear that Polish is pretty cool. Maybe make friends with that old friend that you've lost contact with. Or maybe an old enemy. Bury the hatchet. You know, we're all screwed, so I think might be a good time to do that. Yeah. Maybe go for a run with those new trainers. I really don't fancy that. Why don't you do it